Is this a live stream, Miss Hall, or a just recording?
It's a live Google Hangout.
Live Google Hangout. And then
It's unmuted, Mars.
the whole time. Well, no, we can. I'll do this. We can switch out. Can I start behind?
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Have a good one.
And then I'm pretty sure you know. Yes. Okay. So, yeah. Yes. Sure. Sounds good. Mark can also do it. So I'll ask you like see somebody this case. I'll give you an 8:30. So if I have to go.
You're on Wall Street, and you're on the show street.
Okay.
Wall Street, show street.
Show me. Did you?
Benchmark. I want to start.
You're gonna start a benchmark right now?
Yeah, until it starts. You have to find time for benchmark.
Hey, I love the dedication. What class is it for?
History.
Cool. I like it.
Yeah, she's been around a lot.
She's been making a lot of appearances. Hey Mars, if I wanted to read a letter from one of my former advisees, will I be able to while also doing this? Okay, cool. You need one? I got one right here.
No, I have one.
Whose you got? Which link do you need?
Send me the link at the bottom right hand corner.
The video embed?
Not the event.
The event page?
Yeah. No, the YouTube page.
YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am anyway.
You want to see that live body?
Like, trip over everybody.
Did that work?
Yeah.
Okay. Eric, what's up?
Just say my name.
This is the most professional. It takes a crisis for you guys to put on show.
It's true.
I'm used to these meetings where
How's it going? Cool. Indeed, I am. Yeah. Algebra 2 and 3 calculus. Things are great. I love this school. While it's also great to see alumni.
even though I did on now.
What do you got?
That's how I was able to come.
College spring break.
The whole college schedule is great. Excellent.
I'm glad I can make it.
There you go. It's perfect. Yeah, it's like they planned it for a lot of people to be able to come over spring break.
How much more time do you have?
I'd take a year off.
Right. That's awesome. Biology, that's cool. Those were, so lab-based science classes were never my strength. So that was always the classes that I took. But I was not super fascinated.
I had a really good professor for first year biology.
That's all it is.
Yeah, she was really great. I was glad. I'm like, yes, I chose biology.
Nice. Oh, that's great.
It's really good to see this.
Do you want to slide in that material over here? A skinny tier? For us? Well, for that. I want to slide a chair next to you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
How you doing?
What? So when do you need me to do this? At 8:30 or? Oh. Well, one of us has to do this, one of us has to do that.
Mars, do you need the event page too, or just the YouTube and
I'll start
the
off here.
event?
No, he's doing live. So we're doing audio. And so you want to switch up audio.
Where's
Yep, go.
Just mash the buttons. Just push and turn a lot.
What I've learned from being a professional DJ is more if you just do this, it'll work itself out.
I mean, and you need to have 2 sets of headphones.
Right, you have to have one on one ear and
Exactly.
one on the other ear, but they both
One
have to
on
be
one ear,
different.
one in your
They have
hand.
to be different models.
Exactly. And different
It can't be
colors.
the same.
No, they have to
headphone.
be
That
different
would be
colors. Yeah.
ridiculous.
I mean, 90% of being a DJ is how you look when you're DJing.
Man, I mean, this story is a great teacher. I really miss having your class and not paying attention.
Totally, yeah.
Are you taking calc next year? Let him more sit.
Oh no,
Let him.
I don't think I'm emotionally prepared for that.
It's not like emotionally, like
Scarring? Yes. I am hopefully taking 8 classes though, so yeah, I won't be taking calc, but I will not be taking 7 free periods. I see. Although I will be having like 2 free periods because the media maker space. SAT. Or these like actually good.
You can hear on it.
I can't really hear anything. It's not plugged. I don't think it's plugged in all the way. Oh. No, not really.
That's all. You can't hear anything on it. You know that, right? You can't hear anything on this.
Is the audio hooked up to the soundboard or to the computer?
All right. Here's the thing. The only thing that audio is running is the soundboard is the room. It's not going in there.
Okay.
Audio into there. Camera and the screen is coming from that slow-mo microphone that's in front of that speaker.
Oh, okay.
That makes a lot of sense.
But I still can't. I can't hear anything on these headphones. Does that mean that there's no audio?
It's muted.
Is it?
Yes.
Wait. No, it's not. It's not muted.
The speakers aren't on.
You can hear the speakers from this computer, not from over there.
Oh, so it's coming out of here?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on their class.
Make it work without much. Is this yours? I'm on.
Yes, she is.
Good.
We just have to choose the snowball mic to be the input for the audio in this.
All students, please report to cafe. All students and teachers, actually, please report to cafe.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Science Leadership Academy. If you are standing in the aisles, we would appreciate if you could grab a seat. There are seats all the way up front. Before our evening begins with the School Reform Commission, we have a special performance for you from Philadelphia Youth Poetry Movement. We want to kick the evening off right. So if you are in the back, if you could get your name tags and move forward as quickly as possible. And if you are already seated, just continue to be seated. And I'm happy to introduce SLA English teacher and founding teacher, Matthew Kay.
Oh yeah, have a seat. Have a seat. Hey. Hey. All right, so I was just looking for another one of my performers, but I have one, so that'll work for the short amount of time we have. For those who don't already know, you should know that SLA, beyond all the amazing things that we do, we also are home to a not only a citywide championship slam poetry team. You can clap, you can clap. That's all right. It's good to be the best at something, but also, even more impressively, 3 out of the 6 members of the city's poetry team that won a world championship last summer are students at SLA. And so I'm going to introduce one of those students right now to give you a piece. Or maybe 2, because you should always be ready. Maybe. I don't know. Please make some noise for Veronica Michela.
Alrighty. Hello. As Mr. K said, I'm Veronica, class of 2016. I wrote this poem a while ago. It's kind of about like student voice and like school reform, so I thought it was like tangentially relevant. So here you go. I miss watching the faces of my students when they realize they've done something brilliant. Their veins swell across their foreheads as adolescent synapses tickle their brain stems and enlightenment simmers inside them. On good days, the entire room would be illuminated with ideas popping out of kinetic brains like static electricity when a child in the back of the classroom raises her hand for the first time and her voice cracks like a vase holding too many daffodils. I know I've done my job right. Our classroom hasn't been the same in a while. The piles of graded papers on my desk have gotten thinner, layers of dust hugging the book covers. The cinder block hallways are begging for echoes. The silence is claustrophobic. Desks, walls, and bathroom stalls are tattooed with idle doodles, and I count how many times I've seen the words "I hate it here" in red ink. I recite my roll call like apologies. Sometimes I say names more than once. Even though I know they won't be present, I just miss calling on them, and many will say that I am the one to blame, that I shouldn't allow my children to become the percentages on public service announcements, and it's my job to show them how to seek legends in themselves. Adventure doesn't have to leave the classroom. It constantly tears at me when I dismiss students to places they fought so hard to leave, and I see them drafted back one by one when I'm not their mother or father, and I don't get paid to save them from themselves, but I'm the only one who wants to and the only one who can. The only one who sees that this is our collective burden. These kids, the candle that we are afraid to light, afraid of the damage, never to risk the spreading radiance. I want my students to not be afraid of matches and make fireworks with their knowledge so the smoke blushes the skyline. We'll call it disturbing the peace. Their educational experience is made mostly of chaotic distractions. I've seen my students hold themselves to pages of regurgitated textbook facts with a vice against their necks. I've seen them fall apart and put themselves back together like the most fragile of mosaic sculptures, and they have yet to see how monumental they are. My students are a work of art, and it's my job to show them, tell them that they're allowed to be angry, that they are allowed to want change in their educational environment, but I will not watch them quit because I'm tired of sifting through my roll call list and making notes of how many regrets I have next to each name. My students are not mistakes, I promise you. They will leave a mark on this world, and it will not be a scar and a statistic, but rather an undying spark of potential energy, a picture of hope.
I learned really early that the best way to make me look good is to put the kids in front of the microphone. And also, fittingly, you're going to hear a lot about service this afternoon, probably. Fittingly, Veronica is giving back to her community by serving as a coach for the current poetry team at SLA. And and as it was done for her when she was younger, and one of her poets is going to come up. Please welcome Afi, who's a freshman at SLA.
How do you pull this out? How do you?
Mike's hot.
Okay, is this fine?
It's fine. You're good.
Okay.
You're all good.
Don't say P's very loud. That's what I would. Don't say the letter P loud.
Do I just start? I'm a tomorrow kind of girl. For me, tomorrow isn't just a word to describe the day after today, but a noun meaning mystery and adventure and unpredictability. Tomorrow is where dreams come true and goals are obtained. Tomorrow is where all the questions are answered. No matter how barren and fruitless today is, tomorrow provides the seeds to plant a rainforest. Tomorrow can only be better than today. Tomorrow, I won't make the same mistakes I made today. Tomorrow, I'll be able to stand tall and express who I am. Tomorrow is an escape from the disappointments of today. Tomorrow is the light at the end of the tunnel. Tomorrow is a beautiful utopia where dreaming is the only career choice and everything is paid for in smiles, where the only race is passion, the only gender determination, where the climate is controlled solely by my will to fight, and the world is free of disasters except for the wildfires in my soul, where my achievements are never-ending waterfalls rather than mere puddles stepped on and over by others, where I climb so high on a mountain of success that my past failures are the valleys way beneath me. They say that faith is complete trust in something that is indefinite. Well, that makes tomorrow the strongest faith there is. I hope and pray for the greatness and forgiveness of tomorrow without being able to see it. They say that what you don't know can't hurt you. Maybe this is why I latch so strongly onto the idea of tomorrow. Somehow the uncertainty of tomorrow is better than the reality of today. But tomorrow isn't promised, so don't wait. Think positive and act positive. You are the writer of your own story. Your happiness is in your hands. Today, sing a little louder and smile a little bigger and dance a little longer to celebrate the coming of tomorrow. We fight today, remembering that it was yesterday's tomorrow. We fight today for tomorrow. We fight for the chance to be great and powerful and strong. We fight for those who won't get a chance to see it. We can never give up because we'd be cheating ourselves.
Awesome. Yeah, right? Yeah. They asked a couple more minutes, so they asked me to do one. Is that all right?
I can do it.
Oh, see, now you want, I'm just kidding. You little ham. I got one. This is for the kid who daydreams about being seen. Sitting purposely in the back of class, taking in the show and calculated peeks up from clasped hands, eyes darting up every time someone not named them shares an opinion. This young master of aversion, aware that the only times this year that I've heard his voice was the one word here, mellow and consistent when taking roll every morning at 8 a.m. He's fluent in the art of head nods. one fit for every occasion of being spoken to. We pass in the hallways, and he knows enough to flash a smile so knowing that it feels like we just swapped secrets, me and my younger brother. I feel like I know him until I realize that I don't. That we are just strangers doing the job someone very long ago laid out for us. Me with my red pen bleeding all over stacks of essays, weighing out the A's, trading compliance for good grades, punching the time clock towards tenure, the obligatory grin on my face, screaming resignation to my fate, and he the student. The upturned vessel collecting the spit of 6 teacher lectures and then praying that the bus ride home doesn't mix them all up again. Because last night there was a phone call to mom asking why her mom would answer Andrew Jackson to a question about polynomials. Does your son get enough sleep? And he doesn't want to be the source of any more embarrassment, so he tries to focus a little more, ignore the voice that gnaws in the morning, grows by noon, and shouts by 2, begging him to break into a run, knocking over anyone that steps between his flailing form and the door that has been closing since the days of cartoon lunchboxes and Velcro shoes that he always ripped off at the first opportunity because he wants to run. Because he can't shake the feeling of last summer's grass from between his toes. It was so different than the concrete, and it was safe to traipse bare feet, and the night was clear enough for stars. He laid on his back, tracing shapes with his pointer finger, painting out a connected life in broad strokes. His mind goes. And raining it out feels something like building levees against a neck-high tide from the water side. I want to tell him sometime that it's okay to ride elephants, that it's a sin to mute the music in his ears for my benefit, that most of the lines from my mouth amount to a waste of his time. I apologize. I'm sorry that in English class they snap and clap their fingers at you instead of holding conversations and then call it corrective. I'm sorry that in asking you to read to achieve, I make you believe that you're too dumb to handle real books, and I'm sorry that you never got to write. That the people in your history books look nothing like you do, and when they do, they come stripped of everything that made them breathe. I'm sorry that we think you can't handle any truths that aren't self-evident. I'm sorry that the only measure of learning, we've made a bubble test. And so we've made it our God. Burned your charcoal sketches and wooden instruments at its altar, found it still hungry, so we, the anointed priests, gathered your time and fed it in fistfuls, loosed anything that couldn't be reduced to 4 short answers. I'm sorry for every budget balance on the back of the fact that you can't vote. That you get more press prisoner than pupil. For the 300 magic millions now humming in some stranger's pockets, for the stimulus flitted away like flames to smoke, for the booming businesses built on your burden, heavy on your back is the fact that each below basic means one more study guide can be sold than before. And now Common Core for the inner city carousel where you and your pop-pop can talk Jim Crow like old friends. Like granddad, you say they used to hang signs when they split us aside. I don't want to wake you from your daydreams. Shake your shoulders. Look into your expectant eyes when I know that we're offering nothing more beautiful than last summer's grass cooling between your toes.
Thank you, everybody. We'll be starting our program with the SRC in just a few minutes.
So, Fran, how's it going? That's good. Got it.
Good evening. It's great to see such a big crowd out here. We want to get started. Thank you very much. So I just want to give you a little bit of background about why the SRC asked to come out here tonight to hear from the community of this great school that we are all very proud of. We were given a series of recommendations by the SRC that I think have been shared and distributed, and we wanted to understand more from the school community directly ourselves, and the people who support this school, whether it's the Franklin Institute and other partners, about the programmatic aspects of what you do here, and how that relates to location before we make any decision. The reason we are here is not to express a decision, which will not happen tonight. It is to gain as much information as we can so that we can make the most informed decision possible, taking into account our responsibilities with respect to cost and our responsibilities to the students of this school and how this school and community can continue to succeed and thrive. And so with that, I turn it over to Fran, and we look forward to hearing from you all. Thank you for coming out tonight. I turn it over to Farah.
Hi, my name is Farah Jimenez, and I have the honor of serving on the commission. I just wanted to share a brief message from Chair Marjorie. Oh, you can't see us? Okay. I stand up with the mic, and I think I'm supposed to be singing, and I'm clearly not going to do that for you guys today. I think this is better. So my name is Farah Jimenez. I have the great honor of serving on the commission. I just wanted to share a sentiment from Chair Marjorie Neff, who unfortunately is unable to join us this evening. As some of you may know, she is recovering from a procedure. She did want to share that she wants to hear back from us what we're hearing from you tonight, and really appreciates all of your interest in being here and making sure you're providing us with the community's voices, school community's voices, before we make any decision. So thank you.
Good evening. My name is Fran Burns. I serve as the Chief Operating Officer for the school district. And I want to thank Principal Lehman and Assistant Superintendent Lehman for hosting us tonight, and truly for building this great special school. And from firsthand knowledge, really want to recognize the love that you have for the school, the passion you have for the school, and really the feeling that you have from this creation that you've brought to our city. While we were sitting up there, there was a request. Commissioner Green introduced himself, and I just want to also recognize Commissioner Sims and Commissioner Jimenez, all three School Reform Commission members, and also want to thank them for coming out, to being open to listening tonight on what's in front of us. So I have been out to the school here before, speaking to these same issues. Much smaller group, but for those that have heard it, some of this is a repeat, but for those that are new, wanted to just recap how we got here, why we're here tonight, and really try to capture the conversation. So kind of quick background. In April 2005, the School Reform Commission approved the opening of the Science Leadership Academy. And then in November 2005, authorized an execution of a 10-year lease for the school here in this building. In May 2011, as part of a facilities master plan, the School Reform Commission, at the recommendation of the school district staff at the time, passed facilities master plan, part of which had a goal to reach 85% utilization in our buildings, one goal of many. But at the time, the direction was also given to the district leadership to really phase out our long-term leases in our leased space, since we had so much property that we had owned that was vacant and or partially utilized. So our leases had a high operating cost. We were able to phase out actually most of those leases. We still have about 10 leases that we're in today, 2 of which are Science Leadership Academy and Constitution High School. Science Leadership Academy and Constitution High School, the current lease space that we're in, we've given the location within Center City, has a high annual cost. It's $1.3 million for the operating for the space, for the lease space, and then about $200,000 to $300,000 for common area space. So for the school on an annual operating basis, we are paying $1.5 million. In September 2015, so actually prior to that, knowing that we were kind of coming upon the 10-year lease expiration, we've really started to look at, okay, what are our options? You know, we've been asked, it's a high operating cost. We've been given sort of a direction to get out of these long-term leases. At the same time, it would be really good to give some stability to the school so that every 10 years, you're not thinking about what is our location, what does our school look like, what does our program look like, and also honoring the program itself. So we looked at the kind of the usual, which is what space do we currently own that's vacant? What space are we in that there could be a potential co-location, meaning that only a portion of a current school district building is occupied. We actually engaged a broker to look at leased space within the Center City area, both from a lease perspective and to buy. We looked at the 440 Education Center, where the district administrative offices are. We also talked to the current owner of this building about potentially buying the property. So through that process, we then understood that we needed more time. So we extended the lease here for 2 years through July 31st, 2018. One of the things that we also hoped that we had honored at the time was we had heard from current freshmen, last year's freshmen, we want to graduate from the location that we're in. So we did feel like the 2-year lease, at least we're able to say to the incoming freshmen, you will graduate from the location that you're in, and we're going to continue at this issue. So some of you have actually walked side by side and talked through some of the options. And we do have a handout if you don't have a copy, and if we can make some so that you grab one on your way out. I'm not going to go through every option in detail, but I do hope that you see the handout, because really we want to hear from you tonight. But what we heard from the school when it came to requirements was a centralized location. The location, frankly, I actually just want to say, we heard, keep us where we are. But we heard but the location is really important for a number of reasons. Close proximity to partner, access by transportation. We also kind of looked at equal or larger space in terms of the option. And then obviously we're looking at cost. So does the option achieve operational savings? Would the option require capital investment? What's the estimated capital cost? And so we find ourselves here tonight to just going to go through each of the options and then ask to hear from you. So we have the current location, and the current location, as I said, we have a high annual cost for the operating lease. If the lease was renewed, our projected cost conservatively is $15 million for a 10-year lease, $30 million for a 20-year lease. We have looked at Bucks High School, which is at 2300 West Master Street. We continue to have, we'd have a one-time capital expenditure, but we would have savings immediately in operating costs from the lease. Those savings would be offset by basically the capital investment, the annual borrowing cost for the capital investment each year. But we would have a lower cost on the borrowing than on the than when compared to the savings from the lease. The 440 North Broad Street, the School District Education Center, same thing, sort of that one-time capital expenditures we would save on the operating cost of the lease. There would be a higher capital cost at the Education Center than at Vox. But we would have a debt cost for those investments that we would need to make at 440, but that debt cost would be lower than the annual operating savings that we get from the lease. Certainly. And that actually, we do have that in the handout. The 440 Education Center we were considering, just to backtrack to respond to that question, was being looked at as a potential co-location. We actually heard from parents and families at Constitution High School very similar kind of requests across these options and desires for their school as well. So in thinking through the 440, since it's just an option, it was thought of a potential co-location. Vox could actually also serve as a potential co-location. Pierce School, which is 2400 Christian Street, we looked at Pierce, actually scoped out kind of what it would take to rehabilitate and renovate that space. And that would fit one school, so that would not be a co-location. It's a $15.4 million investment. So you'll see across, there's in some ways that from a school perspective may meet the needs, from a cost perspective has a higher capital investment cost, but still over time actually we'd get immediate operating savings. Ben Franklin High School was a recent kind of consideration, and that would be a co-location option. The cost we would want to, if that option was pursued, we would want to make a capital investment not only for the incoming school, but also for the existing students at Ben Franklin High School. And therefore, it's a current really ballpark figure because we recently put some time into this as an option of $6 to $8 million. And then we have, serves as an example, but we have an alternate lease space at 5th and Spring Garden Street. And the space that we use at 5th and Spring Garden actually would be a potential co-location if that option were pursued. But the option, frankly, is the same lease cost as what we're currently in. But it provides and serves for kind of a comparison of where we are today against what kind of real estate we do have here in Center City that might work. And I'm going to ask Principal Assistant Superintendent Lehman to help with facilitation of really why we're here tonight, which is to hear your voice. And also going to comment that the Constitution High School meeting that we had, it was really a special meeting because it actually allowed us to have like a very good exchange back and forth that was genuine and real. So the parents were passionate. The children, the students were passionate. The partners were very passionate. But it was a very nice, good community engagement. So with that, Principal Lehman.
I first want to thank everybody for being here tonight. What you see here tonight represents students, parents, alumni, partners. We've got students here from our first class all the way up to last year's graduating class here. I think we actually have every graduating class of SLA represented here tonight. And I'm just honored that so many folks came. And incoming freshmen as well. We know schools are special places, and we know schools are fragile places. What makes them work, what makes them special, is one part art, one part craft, and one part magic. And I think what you will hear tonight is a little bit of all of that. The first person who actually wanted to really make sure he was heard tonight can't be here with us. Jamie Kassab is the head of Google Education. He's the lead Google evangelist, and he's flying between Michigan and Paris, I think, tonight. But he had recorded something for us to hear as well. So, my goodness, hopefully. We're a technology school.
While we're waiting, while they're queuing that up, Najee, are you here?
It's over here. Go ahead.
Hello.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Najee. I'm a current senior, graduating class of 2016. Just that. Can you all hear me? Yeah. All right, great. It's glad. I'm glad that you're all here and that. Hi. All right. So, over the past week, I found it impossible to write about why I love SLA so much and fit into a two-minute speech, but I'm going to try my best. Over the past 4 years, I've grown from just a little kid who was filled with enthusiasm and curiosity to a bright young adult who's just starting to take his first steps into manhood. I've met people that will help shape my future into something wonderful just from the connections I've made from the school's community. Our family extends past the teachers and the students to the parents and all those involved with the school itself. One of the unique aspects of being located in Center City is all of the opportunities that it gives us. We have amazing student teachers from Penn and Drexel come and help our kids with their studies. Our wonderful friends from the Franklin who offer many courses to the freshmen to extend their learning experience outside of the school building. Moving a location could potentially alter some of the partnerships we've made. We'll no longer have the river trail to study the environment, testing the waters, and observing the plant life. Some of the individualized learning programs we've set up would be inaccessible for the kids to get to if we were outside of Center City. And with limited modes of transport, our rough cut video team wouldn't be able to get those awesome shots that has earned them a citywide reputation as professionals. Being in Center City is what allows us to be a visual representation of the city itself, diverse and unique. I travel every day from Grays Ferry to SLA. At my middle school, E.M. Stanton, the student population was not nearly as diverse when I went there, and SLA has given me an experience that is both broad and deep. As a current senior on his way to higher education, I want to have reassurance that when I return to back to the place that where my roots lie, the soil that gave me the nutrients is there. As they say, you are a product of your environment, and this environment is where I want people to be able to grow up. This is more than just a building to us. It's a safe haven, a place where you can be you and not face judgment. It's our star in the heart of the city. It's our home. Please, think about all that could change if you were to take away an important part of our identity. Thank you all for listening.
Mr. Best, do we have Richard Collada queued up next? Okay, let's go for that, and then we'll do Richard after that.
Hi, I'm Jamie Kassab. I'm the Chief Education Evangelist at Google. And unfortunately, I can't be there in person. Asked me if there was a way I could be out in Philadelphia tonight to participate in a discussion about the future of the Science Leadership Academy and where it's going to be located. And if I could, I would be there in person. I actually tried to see if I could make it work, but I am in Michigan today and then taking an international flight out tomorrow morning, and there was just no way for me to make it work with my schedule to be there. So I asked Chris if it would be okay for me to put a video message together to share with those that are participating in this event, in this discussion. And so I'm hoping that this helps, or at least is part of that discussion. As I mentioned, I'm the Chief Education Evangelist at Google, and I've been doing this for 10 years. I'm the person who launched Google Apps for Education. I launched Chromebooks in education. I worked across all the different teams at Google. And I've known Chris for, I think, 8-9 years now, and been working with him on a number of initiatives that he's part of. And I couldn't be more excited about the Science Leadership Academy. I use it as an example, as a model. When I talk about the future of learning, when I talk about what great learning looks like, I use the Science Leadership Academy model as the standard that we should all be working towards. Now, when Chris mentioned that there's a possibility that the school might be relocated to another building, another place, my first reaction was terror, because, one, I use that example many times, but I also invite and send Chris and that team, and he probably doesn't like me for this, but I send him hundreds of education leaders and leaders, across the world to go visit the Science Leadership Academy. And part of the reason why, and there's a number of reasons why the Science Leadership Academy is what it is, but part of it is where it's located. The culture of that space, the culture of that building, where the kids go. There's so many reasons why where it's located is absolutely critical. For example, I was just, as I mentioned, I'm here in Michigan, and I did a keynote presentation for the governor's Economic and Education Forum, and when asked the question about good learning models or good inquiry-based models and what they look like, I pointed to the Science Leadership Academy and invited the governor, the lieutenant governor, and other business leaders in the community to go visit when they're in Philadelphia, and he'll take me up on that. And part of the reason why it's easy to do that is because of where it's located, and how it's walking distance from the train station and easily accessible from the airport. But part of the reason why the Science Leadership Academy is what it is because of its students. Whenever I'm in Philadelphia and I have time to kill, or if I'm in between meetings, I don't go to the Starbucks, I don't go to the coffee shop. I'll show up at the Science Leadership Academy because I'm addicted to the chaos that those students provide in that space. Watching them run around, all the different spaces, sitting in the classrooms, just how kids hang out in the hallway. There's something magical about the culture of that space. And I know the students appreciate that. You can see how happy the students are. And part of the reason that I'm so addicted to that space is because I was one of those kids that the Science Leadership Academy serves. I'm a first-generation American, born and raised in New York City, and public education is why I got to where I am today. I grew up on welfare and food stamps, and having a place to call home for a lot of these students is not home. It's that school, it's that space, and having it a place where they can easily locate it, where they can easily spend time there, where they can stay late and travel home and safely is absolutely critical to that night. And it reminds me a lot of the school that I went to. I went to a similar school where it was a funky space in the middle of Midtown Manhattan that wasn't originally designed as a school, and ended up being this very cool, unique culture. So Science Leadership Academy brings me back to that time. But I just wanted to point out and take this a couple of minutes here to point out how critical the Science Leadership Academy is, not only to the Philadelphia School District, but to education in general. If you think about education as a business, if you will, not that I think of it that way, but if you think about it as a business, then the Science Leadership Academy is the flagship store. And having that store located in a central location where it's easily accessible by students, easily accessible by people who are visiting, by other education leaders who can learn and see what it looks like to be part of that school is absolutely critical. So I would encourage everyone to really think about the value of that space, not in terms of dollars and cents per square foot and what you get for that, but the benefit and the value that you get for those square feet that you have in that school is tremendous. And some of it isn't even measurable or accountable because of the cultural elements and the cultural significance of having that space. So I would love to see the Science Leadership Academy stay where it is. I would love to see that space even grow if possible, right where it's located. And I will do everything in my power to help with that. So if I can be of any help, please feel free to reach out to me. My email address is jcasap@google.com. My phone number is 480-280-0028. And again, I've known Chris for a number of years. He's one of my favorite educational leaders. That's all that in the country, in the world actually. And I use that Science Leadership Academy as a model of what great learning looks like. And I would hate to disrupt that model in any way. And I believe, and I know that moving that school or putting it somewhere else would create a different type of culture, and you wouldn't get what that Science Leadership Academy is. And so I encourage everyone to consider those things when you think about the location of the school. Thank you very much for letting me participate.
So Chris, I'd like to sort of. I understand that. Yes. May I? Okay. So I can't. I'm sorry. There we go. I just have to warn everybody here. I am an oral learner, and that means I'm going to learn through a dialogue, and I'm going to ask questions. You can't read anything into those questions because I'm asking them to provoke a response on one side or another because I want to understand how people feel, and that's how I'm going to process the information I received tonight and make a decision, which I want to stress has not been made, and that's why we're here. But I sort of want to react to that and sort of lay out my process of how I'm thinking about this. And that is, when I hear, this is a great school community. And I believe, and I think all of you believe, that if this school moved across the street, nothing would change. There's nothing about this facility, which is expensive, which makes this community the community that it is. So I said, I'm not expressing, I'm telling you how I'm thinking about this, and I'm asking you to understand that as I'm thinking about this, I need information that can sort of make me think, okay, that's not correct. So let me get through how I'm approaching this, and then I look forward to hearing from all of you. But once again, I'm approaching this as an oral learner. I was a gunner in law school, which means I'm the person that raised my hand, asked all the questions, even when I didn't know the answers. And we're here tonight to get answers. So I hope you appreciate the fact that we are here, and we did not make a decision without coming here to hear from you, because that's the way it usually happens. Okay? So the other thing that I'm wondering is just how important, and for me, I'm thinking proximity to Center City, not necessarily a facility. For me, I want to hear from partners and from students about how often you actually go out of the building and visit partners and talk to, and how often people come here and where they come from. And if you were a block away, would that make a difference? Which I don't think would make a difference. But if you're a mile away, that might make a difference. I want to hear and understand all of that, because I think this community is a great community. And I'm sad that Commissioner Houston is not here, because when we ended the Constitution High School meeting, she talked about how when she was a young girl or a young lady, that they were talking about moving her church. And it was a big deal. And they had to have a real discussion about what made a church. Was it the people, the pastor, the members, or was it the building? And I think that's a great way to think about what we're here to discuss tonight. So, thank you.
My name is Donald Taylor. Graduated class of 2010. So, I mean, I have a lot of thoughts running through my mind, but I guess I'll just say that SLA was really life-changing for me. It opened a lot of doors that I would have never expected. And it kind of changed the way I thought about things. And I think a lot of that does have to do with the location. I grew up in North Philly, single parent, poor household. And I kind of spent all my time there. I never came to Center City. In my mind, Center City was for rich, usually white people. And it wasn't, you know, it wasn't a space for me. I mean, what did I had no business down here. And, you know, no one from my neighborhood, you know, really left. No one really, you know, yeah. So, you know, coming here, it just kind of opened my mind and kind of made me feel like, you know, this is my city. This is also a place that I belong, and not, you know, just in the crime-ridden parts, not in the drug-infested parts. But, you know, this part is also mine. And I think, you know, just, you know, the teachers and just the community and just even the learning style. I mean, we're sitting in these beautiful classrooms and, you know, we're not in rows facing the front. You know, we're in these desks where we're often in a circle and it's kind of this collaborative environment. Sorry, I'm really nervous up here. And yeah, 2 years ago, I graduated from Princeton. And I majored in architecture and urban studies. And, you know, I found that this learning style and being in this community kind of, you know, it helped me because I'm a very visual learner. I like, you know, to create things. And, you know, being in a school where everything was project-based, you know, when I got to Princeton and, you know, I'm taking these architecture courses and I'm doing studio, you know, all of that stuff kind of helped me to reach that point. And just going back to, you know, location and kind of access that, you know, this school provides, I just feel like moving it, you know, just kind of, it's hard to explain, but if this school weren't where it is, I don't think I would have the courage to, you know, kind of reach for the things that I'm reaching for. And it's kind of, you know, just being here for 4 years and coming to Center City every day and seeing a different way of life and seeing, you know, there's not trash on the streets and, you know, it's, you know, just things that aren't in my neighborhood. You know, it got me thinking, and, you know, throughout my time at Princeton, you know, I was always kind of interested in the urban world, the city environment. How, you know, do we make neighborhoods like mine more like this? And I haven't told many people this yet, but I mean, I think it's kind of relevant. I'm likely going to be attending Harvard in the fall for urban planning. And, you know, a lot of that just has to do with my connection to the city and the love for my city. And I can't get all my thoughts straight, but SLA played such a huge part in kind of forcing me to dream big and kind of, you know, just opening my mind to the possibilities of the world. And, you know, yeah, I'm sorry, I had a lot to say, but I'm kind of nervous up here, but I'll just say that.
All righty, next, we think we have, we hope we have. Richard Culata, the head of innovation for the state of Rhode Island and the former head of educational technology in the United States Department of Education. And please speak up. Yes, and he's actually going to talk about slides. There he is. Thank you so much, Richard, for being here. Wait, Richard. All right. He might have to go leave to pick up a child, but he'll be back.
Just leave
Yeah.
them up there.
Okay. Yeah.
Mark, are you, yeah.
Thank you for the applause, even though you probably don't know who I am. Members of the SRC, thank you for this opportunity to address you on this important topic. My name is Mark Greenberg. I was Dean of the Pannoni Honors College at Drexel University from 1995 to 2008, and then Provost of the University from 2008 till 2014. One of my responsibilities was to oversee the school district Drexel partnership under Paul Vallis, and I am currently a distinguished professor and provost emeritus at the university. I met Chris Lehman in Philadelphia in 2005. I was excited by Chris's vision for a different kind of education, inquiry-based with students engaged in real-world problem solving. Similarities between SLA's pedagogical model and Drexel's century-long commitment to experiential education and co-op were striking. Building on Drexel's deep engagements with the Franklin Institute, we wanted to help make this new school successful. We thus offered to SLA students Drexel's vast resources in education and research, and its physical facilities for teaching and research, which are easily accessible from SLA. We formed a true partnership which has only deepened over time, one in which each participant has benefited. Our students, the high school students here, and the Drexel students especially. Our proximity, an easy walk, has made all of this possible. So for Drexel, we have co-ops coming here to work at SLA. These are undergraduates. We have education students from Drexel who have done practica and student teaching at SLA, witnessing firsthand how effective problem-based learning can be. Drexel has partnered with Chris Lehman and the SRC in developing a middle school based on the proven educational principles that Chris has implemented here at SLA, and it starts next year at Drexel's Dornsife Center before moving permanently to a new facility to be built on the old University City High School site. This initiative opens opportunities for SLA students to mentor students at the new middle school once it opens, because it's an easy walk from one campus to another. For SLA students, proximity equals accessibility, and we take advantage of this every day. The opportunity for Philadelphia high school students to spend time at a research university just blocks from their school and get to see our diverse student population going about their lives as college students. For many, it's their first taste of the vibrancy of a university campus, and it's just 5 minutes away. Mentorship by Drexel students and student teachers who are able to walk easily from Drexel to SLA. And at Drexel, much of the same mentorship and guidance while working at many Drexel facilities, computer-enhanced classrooms, laboratories, advanced maker spaces like our Excite Center, which you're going to hear a little bit more about, are available quickly and easily to SLA students. Drexel students, graduate students, and faculty are there to help and guide the SLA students on their self-chosen projects. And for Drexel students, for Philadelphia students and families, everything I've described is designed to educate young scholars in a true school district Drexel partnership, including offering the bright prospect of an affordable university education in the future. Drexel's Liberty Scholars Program promises 50 full tuition scholarships for qualified graduates of Philadelphia high schools each year, 4 of whom have already come from the SLA graduating class. And by the way, they've done and are doing beautifully at Drexel. But even for those SLA students not attending Drexel, the opportunity to experience campus life and enjoy the advanced facilities of a major research university uniquely positions SLA students for success at many fine colleges and universities. All of the advantages I've sketched, occurring every school day, are afforded by easy accessibility to our campus facilities, students, and faculty, and by our ease of traveling to SLA. Our partnership opens life-changing opportunities to all the students involved. And SLA students are uniquely positioned, thanks to their immersion in university campus culture, to build on these experiences at many fine colleges and universities to which they're headed, maybe even Drexel, tuition-free. Many benefits for education thus accrue from having SLA as our neighbor. Our hope is that it remains close by. Thank you. And if any members of the commission have questions, I'd be happy to take them. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Leslie Moran. Oh, no, go.
My apologies. I just wanted to have an opportunity to make a final comment. Unfortunately, I had a hard stop at 7 o'clock, so I will need to leave shortly. But I did want to make one, I think, request. I was really struck when I walked in and was reading many of these testimonials behind me, as well as on the walls. And I know that you've just received kind of most of you, some of you are part of this exercise, but you've just received a listing of the different facilities that are part of the analysis being conducted by the school district in concert with the SLA community. This is an inquiry-based education model, and what I would really appreciate, which I would love to see Principal Lehman do as a possible exercise, is an inquiry exercise with the student body around what might be the opportunities that could exist with some of the additional facilities. I know that there's a lot of passion around this building, but sometimes when we have so much passion in a very narrow sense, we may be missing an opportunity to really ask ourselves, could there be something positive as well? I'm not asking you to do that now. I know that people feel very strongly about that, but I do think it would be a really wonderful exercise that could be a benefit to us as commissioners as we evaluate the options to see what students might see as positive about the other locations and help us then see how they contrast to staying in the current facility. Our emails are available through the School Reform Commission website.
Oh, okay. All right. Good evening. My name is Leslie Morant. I am a parent. I am a 3-time SLA parent. I am a parent of an SLA student past, a parent of an SLA student present, and a parent of an SLA student future. She will be an incoming freshman in September. So first I'll tell you how we came to SLA, why I believe so strongly in SLA, and why I believe this location is important. My daughter, my oldest child, is now on partial scholarship. One of those scholarships is a FIBOT scholarship from the Franklin Institute. She is now on partial scholarship at Howard University. But we came to SLA. My daughter went to Masterman. It's a wonderful school. I am a Masterman alum. I am an attorney and formerly academically neurotic parent. So the best that we thought, what we typically think of the best education available in Philadelphia, that is what my children was going to get. And here at SLA, that is exactly what they get. My oldest child went to Masterman. The uber competitive environment was stifling for her. She did not flourish there. And so as an 8th grade student, we did the typical looking for schools, and SLA was the new kid on the block at the time. There were no scores, there was no nothing, there was no record. There was just this new special admit school. So we came here, and if you guys are somewhat around the same age, you remember the television show Fame. I walked in and there were kids all over the place doing the academic version of Dan, and I'm like, absolutely not. Children shall sit all in their places with bright, shiny faces, and you shall ask questions, and you shall regurgitate the information just as I regurgitated and turned out just well. And so these kids were all over the place. And then Mr. Lehman and I'm like, this is just like chaos. Absolutely. And my daughter opened up in her face, the sun shone. And I'm like, yeah, you forget it. This is not going to happen. And then Mr. Lehman simply got up. And that was the end of it, because the children saw he didn't have to do anything. The automatic respect that came from him being more than the principal, but their friend. And the kids stopped and simply began to listen to him. And that got my attention, because he didn't have to be the typical disciplinarian. He was just a friend. And I'm going, yeah, that's cute, that's nice, okay. He can get them in order. But what changed it for me was there were speakers just like tonight. Everyone lined up and they said but at the time, SLA, it needed a little bit of a sell to some parents like myself. And I'm going, okay, I hear you. But what changed it for me was Mr. Lehman simply randomly selected children, because every time he said you, the kid went, who, me? And he said, get up and talk. And each and every child said the same thing. And because my daughter's experience at Masterman was not the best experience for her, it changed my opinion. The children each said at one time or another, the school opens at 7:30 or 7 o'clock or whatever, and I am here and I leave when they kick me out. And I needed my child to be in a place that they loved, because she didn't love Masterman, and she came here and she flourished and she got scholarships and did well and made took advantage of every opportunity that this Center City location made for her. She took an ILP. She went to the Franklin Institute like every freshman did. She got that FIBOT scholarship. But the ILPs that she got, the independent learning projects, were all here. Proximity is accessibility. And that child went on to win Google competitions at Dartmouth College. And she went on to participate in some other things, all as a result of being able to leave this building and access partnerships that were here in Center City, Philadelphia. And she's done amazingly well. My second child is a student here. He's a student with an IEP. That child needs to be able to get up and leave sometimes. He is a student whose school is not easy for him. And so the typical day-to-day interactions for my son are far more challenging than they are for my other two children. So that ILP that lets Noah get up and leave is wonderful for him. And it's all in Center City. He gets to and the baby is just gonna come, and Mr. Lehman and I will have a different relationship when she comes. But she's looking forward to it. That child was accepted to every special admit high school she applied to, and it came down to Central and SLA. And 5 years ago in 2010, when I met, 6 years ago in 2010, when I met Mr. Lehman, it would have been, you're going to Central. And when the applications came, when her acceptance letter came in, and I said, you're going to SLA, but she came to that decision on her own. I didn't have to give her that decision. And for me, this is the only school that after Morgan's, my oldest child's experience here, this is the only school that I want any of my children to. I'm so happy that I'm Mr. Lehman's biggest fan outside of his family and those other people who love him. But I am not just him, this school's biggest fan because this school is an innovator. I've changed my thought process about what education should be as a result of this school in this location. We come here and we volunteer every year for EduCon, which is located here. And I'm not really sure if we could draw as big of a crowd we can for EduCon. This school is easily located. It's an amazing thing. The profits from that school fund some of what we need here based on district budget cuts and so on and so forth. But we're here every year volunteering for that. I've looked very briefly over some of your other options, and quite frankly, I'm very concerned that if you move this school to some of the locations that you have proposed, that the school itself becomes a far less attractive option for some folks. So if SLA, for me, moved across the street, is it a great deal? My children can still access all of the programs in the ILP and the Franklin Institute, but if you move it to some of the locations that you've suggested, is this school, will this student body look the way you see it now? No. And so my question, my final remarks to you are, I know you stood up and you said, we have the usual considerations, but I ask you to consider this is an unusual school.
So those that don't know me, I'm Larry Dubinsky. I'm the president and CEO of the Franklin Institute. And thank you. Members of the SRC, thank you for being here tonight. Fran, thank you. And we understand, Fran, you and Dr. Hyde have inherited a lot of issues as the SRC is dealing with, lots of financial issues. But if you're us standing here, and really one of the first items when the SLA was founded is one of the number one principles is where is it located, because its founding partner was the Franklin Institute, and to make it successful was that it would be in walking distance of the Franklin Institute. Not only did that happen, but you heard from Mark Greenberg about the success because of its walking distance location at Drexel. The two arguably of the strongest partners in the city supporting Philadelphia public schools are in walking distance of this institution here. Again, we absolutely understand the financial pressures that are under the school district. But what I cannot understand is that when you have something as successful as this, a school that is outshining all, and doing it under the budget constraints of which you have placed on it, and yet that this would be a topic that we're going to move this school out of the immediate area here just does not make sense to us as the lead partner. Yeah, absolutely.
I apologize for not standing, but that's kind of, can everybody hear? Okay, so first of all, I want to correct something. The SRC does not set the budget. The state and the city give us the amount of dollars that we have.
No, that's fair, and I understand
to
that.
live within those means.
No, and I hear you on that.
So I just want to be clear about that.
And I get that and understand
every parent and family and child and student that is here is clear about that. We only
I think that's fair, and I
what is
absolutely
appropriated
understand that.
to us.
Right.
We don't have taxing authority, unlike every other school district in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Right.
And that's a problem.
Right.
Okay, so that's number one. Number two, I'd really like to talk about how often students are in the Franklin Institute and how often people, is it once a week, two times
no,
a
I mean,
week?
you made a really interesting point where you said if we moved across the street, would it make a difference? Well, if we moved across the street in a build out that was appropriate for a school of this size, then I think every parent in here would say, great, that works, because that proximity works. I think what
you know, while this building has been fitted out and works well, I think this group would say, if you're in the proximity that works, and I don't want to speak for anybody, that puts you close to the Franklin Institute, close to Drexel, close to a transportation system that gets them here, then people would be okay with what's being decided. I think the concern is the fact that some of the discussions of where this is going takes it way out of the immediate area. To answer your question specifically, every freshman that comes to this school spends Wednesdays at the Franklin Institute. That's for starters. They also, though, many of them do their ILPs with Franklin Institute people. All ages come, all years come throughout their year to the Franklin Institute in special programmatic pieces that occur, special programs between our people come over here, we go over there.
How often? That's what I'm trying to.
Every week. Every week.
Okay, that's what I want to understand.
Yeah.
Once a week. And how
No,
often?
more than once a week. The freshmen are there once a week, but the other grades are with us at other times as well.
And how often are your people here?
I mean, the number of programs we have, whether it's Derek Pitts working with Project Space, whether it's the traveling science folks actually working with our kids to help make their science, to actually work on the traveling science shows, whether it's our kids doing internships
At the front, yeah.
collaborating on, I mean, we've had our students, they've made the
They made the app for Galileo. They work with our environmental educators. I mean, we did what the school district is asking everybody to do now. We stepped up in 2006 and said, we'll be a partner. And so,
SLA is a phenomenal partner of the district. Franklin Institute is a phenomenal partner of SLA and of the district.
Right.
We appreciate everything you're doing. And, you know, I told you at the beginning kind of what I'm trying to learn.
And I think it's fair for you to learn, which I
Right.
appreciate. I will tell you, and I think Mark Greenberg will agree with Drexel back there, you will fundamentally change this school if you move it out of this general area. That is what our concern is, okay? It is a school that is working, and that is why we get concerned when we say, hey, we're gonna move it up, you know, to a variety of locations. I mean, we've talked
to where Sylvia is from. Is that the concern?
No, not. I don't know where Sylvia's from.
North Philadelphia.
My deal, you know what, I think that's an inappropriate. I think to us, we have talked to the school district about other locations in the center city area which potentially would work because of location to the Franklin Institute. So that is what our issue is. The students here can walk from here to the Franklin Institute, be in our doors and in a seat in 10 minutes. They can be working with our educators in 10 minutes, walking. And to us, that's critical, and that's been part of the success here. It has nothing to do with saying we're going to move it to some other place. It tells you that we cannot provide the service you've asked us to do if you move us too far out of a certain geographical area.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate that clarification. Right. That it is the proximity to Drexel and the Franklin Institute that's important, and not the potential choice of other locations.
Yeah, I mean, Fran, we've been on this for years trying to work to a result that makes sense for all of us. And I have been, and the Franklin Institute has been extremely consistent before the school even evolved. When the school was thought of, which worked with the previous, two previous superintendents and my predecessor, one of the main tenets and one of the main hallmarks was the proximity to the Franklin Institute in order that the school district of Philadelphia students could benefit from the services, the educators, and the programs that we have. So to us, that's the major tenet why we're there. I mean, literally 10-minute walk away, you're performing educational programs and services like no one else can do. 15-minute walk to Drexel and the same thing.
Sorry. Sure, I'm going to repeat what Farah is saying, and she really has to go.
The question is, will Franklin Institute be as equally committed with the new SLA being proposed for West Philadelphia?
Will Franklin Institute be as equally committed with the new SLA being proposed for West Philadelphia?
It's a different model that we are not, we are not in it. No, it's a different model, and we're not. I mean, our commitment, I will say, as I think folks know in this room,
that every Title I school student that comes, last year 35,000 students came to the Franklin Institute for free so no, I'm saying of that. Our commitment right now, as I think folks know, has been with Wednesdays at the Franklin. Other programs that we've done have been primarily with SLA Center City campus.
So it won't be with the SLA West Mill.
Not as it's currently proposed.
Excuse me. Commissioner Green, you owe Commissioner Green, Commissioner Sims, and the rest of this audience here an apology. You apologize for the remark about where Sylvia lives. What is wrong with North Philadelphia, sir?
Nothing.
Okay.
That was my point, sir.
No.
That was exactly my point. Because I kept hearing people say, would you like to know the answer to the question?
I want an apology before I know.
Well, if Sylvia, do I owe you an apology? All right, well, I apologize. The answer to your question is because at Constitution High School, when we were there, everybody kept talking about where they didn't want to go. I understand, and I heard very much the same. I heard very much the same theme, sir, here, where people are talking about not wanting to go somewhere else instead of focusing on the proximity, which, as I said in the beginning, is what I'm here to listen to. Why is this proximity so important? And when people are saying they don't want to go other places, they weren't reflecting the proximity. And so I've just learned through this colloquy that students go there once a week, that they come here more than once a week, people from Franklin Institute. That is an exchange of every single class on different days of the week. And that is why I asked the question, because that's important to know, that the reason people want this location is not because of the other locations, but it's because of the educational programming and proximity to the Franklin Institute and Drexel and other partners.
Other.
What?
The only reason why I'm adding it now because you asked the question of how many days does our children attend the Franklin Institute. This is my first year here, and I'm happy to be here. But my daughter personally goes to the Franklin Institute 3 days a week. She goes one day on Wednesdays because she's a ninth grader. But because of the Franklin Institute's opportunities, she's been able to take advantage of a program called PACS, right? Yep. PACS, she goes Friday after school, which sometimes she's there until 6 or 7 o'clock, which means that in the wintertime it gets dark. So for me, it's a safety issue. So my daughter is able to walk on Wednesday to the Franklin Institute and stay there sometimes till 6 o'clock. On Friday for the PACS program where she volunteers. On Saturday, she's at the Franklin Institute for an additional program where she volunteers because of this school. So my daughter, in addition to other parents, she's there 3 days a week. And that has a lot to do with proximity to this location in addition to where we live. And for us, it is safety. I wanted to talk about a few other things, but I just answered that question because I heard clearly that was one you asked in terms of why and how many days. So 3 days for some of our kids, and some days it's 5.
And I also just want to say, Commissioner Sims asked that very question at the Constitution meeting that I asked this evening, and that's why I asked it.
Yeah.
And she was going to ask it again, and that's why she's mad at me.
Glad you asked it. Are there any other questions for me?
No, thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. And again.
While this is an excellent school in Constitution, also coming out to both of these schools have shown me different models. And I really wish that the school district of Philadelphia can replicate this for more than the children that we have here. I forgot your name. Larry. Larry. I really wish you as an organization would partner with more schools in the school district of Philadelphia, especially schools that are not doing as well and cannot have the real site selection and, you know, the stuff where they're cleaning, because it really puts me in a messed up position. So where I live, it is in North Philly. And the brother, Donald, if he's still here, I feel you, my brother, because I do live in the heart of North Philly. And everything you talk about is true. And guess what? I still live there. I have not left. I am the families that I serve in North Philadelphia. And we don't have this. We do not have what the students, the parents, the families in the community have here. So, like I said, this is great, and I really wish that we can replicate this all across the city.
Thank you. I will, offline, I'll share with you, and Fran knows we're trying to even do more. It wouldn't necessarily be like this, but we're continuing to try to do more. We believe, obviously, education is the single most important thing. And again, I just want to end by saying we are so proud of our affiliation. I think you can see why with the SLA, their students, their parents, and their faculty. So thank you.
My name is Matthew Kay. I am one of the founding teachers here. I apologize if the passion in my voice, I love this place. I grew up in this place. It's my first teaching job. And so I apologize in advance. But I do want to say that we start off, I want to acknowledge that we do know that you are being asked to build bricks without straw. We do know that it is tough. We do know that there are not very many easy answers. And we do know that even though we're passionate, you're people of goodwill, and that you're trying to do your best. And so I think, and I'll add my name to the list of folks that if you want to talk to about just how integral this community is to this school, I add my name to that list of folks that you can talk to. I will try to be even clearer from a perspective of someone who's been in this building since its inception. A move from this location kills us. It's not only the Franklin Institute, which our kids are in all of the time. Not just Wednesdays at the Franklin, but as parts of their internships, as parts of their programs, put that relationship with the Franklin has put kids, first generation kids through college. But it's not only that. Somehow, Jeremy Spry behind me is able to work a system where all of our 10th and 11th graders disperse all throughout the city on internships every Wednesday to everywhere, to the regional rail, the blue line, the orange line, and they go and see parts of the city they would have never seen. And they interact with and they make lifelong partnerships with businesses that end up giving them jobs. And so not only that, I am also, the staff is very involved. I'm sure like any other staffs, they got all sorts of after school activities. And as you've heard people say before, the kids don't leave this place. And it's a beautiful thing. And the amazing things that we're able to create here are because kids can stay and get home safely until 8 o'clock. And so they can build robots, so they make water filtration things, so they win international poetry championships. So they do all these kids do is build. And they stay here and build and build and build, and it goes in the classroom and it's outside of the classroom, and they live the things that they're learning, and the parents trust us with their kids because they can stay here. And to your point, I'm a product of the Philadelphia schools. I went to Saul. I grew up in Germantown. I must say, and I've worked with Marcy Hull over there for a while, and I know exactly what you're thinking right now, is that we've seen kids who never set foot in Center City before coming here. They never set foot. And we walk them around and they're like, this is my city too. I belong here. I can shop there. There's no supermarkets in my neighborhood. Right next door. They can go and they can go City Hall. They can go out, they can go down to the park and play. And you can see them, you see these kids, these first generation kids who look just like me. And they're come to this, and they come here and they say, oh, wait, Philadelphia, this is something I can be proud of. I know you have tough decisions to make. I understand that. But this place is special. And it's special because these kids who would have never met, build lifelong friendships, lifelong partnerships, because they're able to stay and they can access this city. And in a whole world that's telling them that this city is not theirs, they get to walk around and say, no, it's mine. So like Donald, who goes to Princeton. But I'm not just speaking about, I mean, I'm just as proud of him as everybody else in this community. I'm talking about the kids who don't go to Princeton. The kids who graduate here with C averages, but a new world view. An entirely new world view. I'm talking about the unintended consequence of this school because of the access, and it is location, because of the access, is able to draw like a magnet everyone in, and they have these partnerships and this amazing experience, that we have this unintended consequence that we turn out teachers over and over and over again. These kids want to give back. They want to create schools that become like this. It's like the vision for the urban education program, but in practice. It happens here. This is a teacher farm. Because kids, they come here and their minds are blown. So there's so much, and I want to extend an invitation, because if you think it's just rhetoric, the thing that you're falling in love with, hearing it, Commissioner Sims, what you're hearing, it is practice. Like, please come to my classroom. Please. Please. See it. See the discussions. See the discussions with a kid from North Philly, a kid from West Philly, a kid from Mount Airy, a kid from Southwest, a kid from the Northeast. See the conversations that they can have now because of the access, because of the location. And if we take this place across the street, sure, I guess, but it kills us. And I know you have a hard job, but this particular solution of keeping our kids where they can access all the things that they access and build this, we've done nothing but make this city proud for 10 years. We've done absolutely nothing but make the city proud. We've done absolutely nothing but answer the bell every time we're asked to do something. And when when the admission, it looks like, oh, we can't get enough kids, Chris starts another school. We do everything we can to make the city proud because we see these kids. I'm sorry. Thank you for listening to me.
Well, that's a tough act to follow. Oh, what a question?
I'm gonna let you let the crowd relax before you have to speak because that was great to hear. I think people need to understand the enormity of what we're being asked to do, and I think you can see that in dollars and cents on the handout that the school district gave. But as we said, we don't control our budget. So when we make a choice to keep SLA in Center City, and I'm please do not read anything into what I'm saying about what my position is on this, or where we're going to go, or what's going to happen, or whether SLA can stay here or not. When we're being asked to do that, it means that we don't have resources for other schools that don't have all of the advantages that SLA has, with great partners, with phenomenal teaching staff, with great principals, with all these other programs and partners who come here because you're in Center City, but don't go into other neighborhoods of the city of Philadelphia, that aren't afforded this opportunity. That's what you're asking. I'm not saying we're not going to do it, but let's just understand what it is. Dollars are not we only have a certain amount of dollars, and if we spend them one place, we can't spend them another, and we don't have taxing authority. Thank you. Go ahead. Thanks.
I believe we go to the screen for a second.
Yeah. We ready? You got Richard?
Thank you. You hear me? All right. Hey, sorry about that. I'm a little out of breath. I ran to the Apple store and bought a new laptop so that we could. That's how much I love Science Leadership Academy. Hey, listen, thanks for letting me take a minute. I'll be quick. I know I'm now later into the program and you have some really important things to talk about. But I just mentioned when Chris told me you were having this meeting, I just wanted to see if I could just spend just a minute with you all. Largely just because I want to make sure that your understanding of viewpoint here from a national perspective that you may not be hearing from other people that are speaking. And the other speakers I heard before I got up had just incredibly compelling stories that I can't compete with and won't try to. But I do want to make sure you see what this school looks like, this experience looks like from the rest of the country. And as I participate in conversations, national conversations with, at different conferences and events around the country, one of the things that comes up over and over again is when there are great ideas, they almost always tie back in some way, shape, or form to SLA. And SLA has really become a sort of a generator of ideas and models for how we can transform learning in other parts of the country. And so when I look at the way innovation is happening in SLA, it's not just one piece of the pie. It's how tech is being used. It's how talent's being recruited. It's how teachers are being trained, how learning activities are being delivered. And all of these pieces lead us to constantly say, when people are asking me, where do I go to look for what to do right? I point them to Science Leadership Academy. In fact, I was joking with Chris that I was going to make one of, those bracelets that you get, and I was going to say WWSLAD, which is, what would Science Leadership Academy do? And have people just ask that question as they're planning for education. So listen, let me end with one final thought, and then I'll get you back to your conversation here. And that is the way that you engage and involve students here is something incredibly special. I know in my chance to participate in EduCon was really transformational for me, to the point that when the president asked me to lead a program called Future Ready, where we were training district leaders from 15,000 districts across the country how to do things right, how to involve students in the right way. The example that I shared with all of them was my experience at EduCon, where students were leading and really running the experience in a way that I had just never experienced before. So as you consider where SLA lives physically, I really urge you to keep in mind how valuable this school is, not just for your community and for the great students here, but as a leader for the country and how to rethink and reimagine education. And as you consider options, I know, and just hearing the person right before me who was speaking, there are trade-offs that you're going to have to consider, and those are not easy. And I won't weigh in on what's the right thing or not to do, but please realize that as you put priorities in front of you, maintaining the integrity of this special thing that's happening at Science Leadership Academy is critical, not just for your students, but for the rest of the country that's watching you and learning from you every day. So thank you for your work. Thank you for the conversation. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Drew Murray. I am the president of the Logan Square Neighborhood Association. For those of you who don't know, you are sitting in the Logan Square community. And I am here to give a little bit of a different perspective. I'm not here to tell you what the community does for this school, which I think has easily been proven here tonight. I'm here to tell you what this school does for our community. Logan Square needs more schools, not less. You cannot take this school out of our community. These students, these incredibly talented, smart students, come from all over the city, but this school still educates children within our community. Please, commissioners, keep this school where it is or within a block or two, because I urge you, it is imperative to these students and it's paramount to our community. We need these kids as much as they need us. Thank you.
Hi. So Matt, first of all, my name's Frida. I'm a graduate of SLA, class of 2011. One of the things that Matt had mentioned was that this school is kind of like a farm for teachers. I am an example of that. I graduated with a secondary English ed degree. I just got my acceptance from the school district today, actually. I'm also was a child from Kensington, born and raised in a federal empowerment zone. And as Matt had said, and as Donald had said, I would not have met any of the students that I ended up meeting and becoming friends with from Southwest Philly, from Mount Airy, from Chestnut Hill, if I had not come to this school. And that gave me a worldly experience that has informed my teaching career so far. And I think that's important. What I also think, what I hear you saying, Commissioner Sims, correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's not just a question of, are these students nervous about going to certain neighborhoods, which I think isn't reflected in where the students are actually from. We come from those neighborhoods that you're speaking of, but I think one of the fears is, and I have the same fear, I see it all the time, is that, okay, we have this kid from this neighborhood like Kensington, they go to this magnet school, is this going to be a brain drain? Are they going to leave my neighborhood, go to college, become really successful, and never come back? And that's a fear that I respect. But it is not the case with graduates from this school. And in fact, I would say that this school encourages us and makes us as students more likely to go back into the neighborhoods which we came from, to fix the challenges that we grew up with that we did not like in our communities. I myself am planning on becoming a teacher in Kensington, where I grew up. So I think if there's a question or fear about what's going to end up with these students who come to this school, are they going to end up in those same areas like you nobly have, stayed because you love that. That's your home. Kensington is my home. I live there now. I plan to always live there. I would say that this school has done nothing but make me more proud of where I was from. Let me know that it's okay to be proud of where I am from. Let me know that I can be educated, have a career that I enjoy, and still want to live in the neighborhood that I was from and not be crazy for it. And that's something that this school nurtures, and it will not be able to continue to nurture that if it is not here. Thank you.
A little shorter. Hi, everybody. I have a lot of respect for everyone in this room, and I see a lot of really familiar faces, so I'm very excited to be here. My name is Lauren Kobolars, and I'm the program director for Students Run Philly Style. We're a nonprofit. Yeah, thanks. For those of you who don't know us, we're a nonprofit that works with this year will be around 1,200 students that are Philadelphia School District students. So we work with schools all over the city. We draw students from every zip code, much like SLA does. And we're a mentoring program that uses long distance running to empower students to set and achieve whatever goal they put their mind to. For the past 8 years, Students from Philly Style has been a really proud partner of SLA. We have had hundreds of SLA students complete a half or a full marathon with us. Some of them are here. They deserve all of that applause. We consistently point to our students at SLA as role models for their peers in the Students Run community. And we've had 3 SLA students receive scholarships from our program. So they are really pride and joy for us. I've personally met a lot of SLA students over the past couple years, and I can say that they're a truly amazing group of people. Through this partnership, I've gotten to know that after-school activities are essential to fostering the student community that makes SLA a standout learning environment and a really special place. The current location and its proximity to public transportation make SLA and its extracurricular activities accessible to a largely diverse student population, which you've heard already today, I know. It's allowed students from all over the city to be part of our Students Run team during their practices, to stay late, to come on weekends, to be part of something that is a big, big part of our community, to do our races and our other program activities. We work with 60 schools in the district, middle and high schools, and it's a pretty large number of our schools, but we work really hard to bring students from all over the city together to be in the same place. And SLA is able to do this in one place on the same team at the same time, all the time, 3 times a week, sometimes 4, sometimes more, you guys know. Accessibility has been critical to making that happen. So Students Run is really proud to have SLA as a team that we look to again and again as a model of success for our program and success in the school. So I know that we'll continue to see SLA thrive with Students Run as well as with many other partners that are here. And I hope you will allow SLA to continue to be successful and to support the community that they've built and created for all of its students, its families, its staff, and its supporters. Thank you.
This is great. So my name is Bree Bonner. I'm class of 2010. I'm Kiana Sample. I'm also class of 2010. And first, I'd just like to point out, if you look at the windows and all the messages that people left to defend this building, this school, if you look up, you can see our art that we have left. If you go into the art room upstairs, Ms. Hall's ceiling beautiful artwork that people have left in this building because it was our home. If you peek back here behind us and you see all these people that are lined up just to say their speeches, people who took the time to write something out beforehand to defend this building.
So as a current registered nurse at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, I would just like to say personally that if it was not for Mr. Lehman and his incredible dedication to us as students, I wouldn't have the job that I even have today. It was because of the ILP that he set aside for me personally to take that time out to network with the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia that kept me in that network up until the day I graduated, where they said, here's the job in the ICU that you can have. It's yours. Take it. This is our home. This is the school that my mom felt comfortable enough coming from West Philadelphia to bring me to every single day, to let me stay here until 7 o'clock at night when this building closed, day in and day out, and would personally have conversations with Mr. Lehman day in and day out, because she cares about the school as much as I do. I told her I was coming. She said, where can I sign up? Because to her, this is family. We fight for our family because we love this building and we care about this building. No other building could ever compare, because we built this building as the 2010 graduates. We come back here because we care about what this foundation means to us. It means everything. It built us as adults, as who we are. We will bring our kids back to school down in Center City, and if this building is still here, because this built us, and we would not be the individuals that we are today if it were not for our principal that loves us dearly, and all of the teachers that we call mom and dad, because this is home. And this is what has made us into what we are today. So without this building that you would not see all of these individuals here for, it's because we made it a family. And you can't move a family's home, because this is our roots. And we need our roots to continue to build little SLA families into what we need today. So that's why we took the time out of our day with hectic work schedules to make sure that we got back here, because we couldn't let this happen without us being here as the first class. So we appreciate the time that you took out to come and listen to us.
Hello, guys. I'm Brandon Williams, a 2011 graduate. Also, the junior varsity baseball coach for SLA. I just want to share a couple of things with you guys. So if you could just please listen, I would really appreciate that. Too often in life, decisions are not made with an open mind and with a full heart. We underestimate the complexity of situations while intrinsically denying ourselves to look deeper than the surface. As I was taught by a science teacher here by the name of Jamal Sharif, studying the anatomy of an onion cell is that sometimes we have to take a deeper look at things. Sometimes even so deep that we explore the microscopic level of that entity to understand the enormity of a component. In this case of the onion cells, we were seeking to understand its core. And what I believe is that we must also do this when it comes to understanding this school. This four-letter word that I mentioned above is why we are all here today. Students, alumni, family, friends, we are united by a core that was made possible through the very building we stand in today, a place we know as SLA, a place that most think of as their home. I cannot tell you about the innate feelings or beliefs that my peers may associate with this institution, but what I can do is enlighten you to what this place means to me. Science Leadership Academy gave an African-American, chronically ill kid like me a chance. When others saw me as a child delegated to the propensities of his ailment, it was here I learned that my words, my thoughts, my actions, they mattered. I learned that this is not only what my teachers and my peers thought, but that these actions were to be expected of me as a human being, that I affected not only the individuals around me, but society and humanity as we know it. Many will ask, how does a building, a simple structure, implore these things into an adolescent mind? But what we must understand is that this location was just as crucial of a component as our 21st century project-based learning. I'm going to repeat that. This school location was just as important as the crucial component of our 21st century school-based learning. What you must understand is that the leaders of SLA had to create an environment conducive to learning. Many of us here have been to college. We know what sociology 101 means. We know that an environment, a place, affects what happens to a child, what happens to an adult, what happens to a group of people. We have to realize that these people, these founders, they knew that they had to take kids from almost every single zip code in Philadelphia and instill in them that they were just as good and as worthy as the individuals that they saw walking the streets in Center City. So on our bus rides to school, on our trolley rides to school, on our walks to school, we saw doctors, lawyers, people who were doing something in society. And for once, we felt like we were actually a part of society. We felt that we could be these people. And not only do we feel that we can be these people, we are these people currently. You guys are asking for the facts. I can give you some facts to why this building is so important. This building is important to me is because you know what's around the corner? Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, where sometimes I spent close to 3 out of the 5 days of my school week in the hospital. But because I was so close, I was still able to come to some of my classes. I was still able to video chat into some of my classes. And you know what that meant? That meant that I was still gonna make it. That meant that I wasn't going to be held back. That meant that I would too be a college graduate and pursue my career in medicine and come back and help those boys that I so much care about. You know what also helped these things? We're talking facts now, right? My IOP. I started when I was a freshman at a microbiology lab at Drexel. I wasn't studying some basic science. I was studying cyanobacteria with some of the best in their field. Where else do I get that opportunity? Not in North Philadelphia, not in South Philadelphia. We're talking facts here. TFI is right around the corner. That's our partnership. How can you be an effective partner anywhere, correct? If you're away from your partner, it doesn't work. Last but not least, because I have a whole lot of people who want to say something, is that we're going to talk about sports a little bit. I have some of the best baseball players in Philadelphia. And you know what? They work their behinds off. They have to travel almost 45 minutes to an hour just to get to their field sometimes. And that's because of this great location that we have. So if you wanted to move us to some other place, let's say we wouldn't have a baseball team or a basketball team or a volleyball team or any team at that. So when we're thinking about these things, let's look at the facts. And the facts is that we couldn't survive any place else but here.
So, Brandon, thank you very much for that. And I want to say that the reason you began your talk with the way we should look at this inquiry and think about it, and frankly, the reason we're here was very well expressed by the beginning of your comments. So I thank you for them, and I thank you for your other comments. I'd like to ask Chris if time is running short, and I don't think we've heard from any current students. And so if we could hear I'd love to hear from some current students, if that's possible, Chris.
Okay. Well, as you know, my name is Brittany. Thanks, Jasmine. I am a current senior here at SLA. And I don't want to tell you how many times I've gotten emotional on the fact that I'm going to be leaving this year. I'm going to be leaving. And I read all these posters on the wall thinking, oh my God, everybody else loved this school. I headed a mini course for my capstone, and that's going to have another session at the end of the school year. And we did this amazing mural on the ceiling. We did that, and our students sat there and said, this is our second home. We come here every day to be with all our friends and our family. We're not coming here just to learn. We're coming here to experience life. We're coming here to experience something that we wouldn't get anywhere else. I'm from West Philadelphia, and if I didn't come to this school, I'd probably be at Overbrook or Palumbo or somewhere that I don't want to be, honestly. I would be a totally different person. And the fact that I'm here now, the fact that I have the liberty and the freedom to go down the street to 7-Eleven or to go to the river and just look at the water and watch the people run around. The fact that in my sophomore and freshman year, I got to go down there to study from my science classes. That is why this is so important to me. So important to all of us. Even though I'm leaving, the people that are coming after me, they need to experience what I experienced. And I want them to experience that. It's not just about them being here. They need to experience being here. So thank you and have a good night.
Hi, my name is Katya and I'm a current senior. First of all, I would like to thank you for giving us the chance to express ourselves and share our stories, and I'm here to share my story. November 25th, 2012. That is one date I will never be able to forget. On that date, I left behind my life in Algeria. That date was the date when my parents decided to give up on everything they had built for 50 years. They decided to leave everything behind, including 2 of their own children, only because there was a slight chance that my sister and I would have an opportunity for a better life. That was the date when I set foot on the United States. No language, no home, no money. All we had was hope, and all I had were dreams. I remember that day like it was yesterday. I got on the plane. Part of me wanted to get out, but I sat still with my seatbelt on, and all I said to myself, I am on my way to realize my dreams. Now, that plane might have landed, but the plane that is flying towards my dream is still flying in the sky, and every single day I work so that plane doesn't crash and doesn't burn into ash. 3 weeks later, I found myself at the school district looking for an educational institution that can satisfy my deep desire for knowledge. I had to choose between SLA and the Overbrook School for the Blind. Now, I visited SLA and I spoke not one single word of English. Everything I said, everything I heard was translated by a student here who is now my classmate. That day, when I walked out of this building, I knew that SLI was the one place where I wanted to spend the next 3 years of my life. Here I am. I have looked for an educational institution that can satisfy my deep passion for learning. I found not only that, but a family that embraced me fully after I came from a country where I was rejected from schools only because I had a visual disability. remember the first class here was biochemistry. The class was learning about respiration and photosynthesis, although we communicated only by Google Translate, but the teacher sat with me every single day going over everything, a detail at a time. 4 weeks later, I was able to stand in front of the class and present my project in a language that I've never spoke before. Even I couldn't believe that I was able to do it. I have not only had great teachers, but equally great classmates. As a blind student who was not very familiar with the space, I was not able to get around at all. But today, I can. Because 3 years ago, students here at SLA accompanied me everywhere I went and showed me the way. I remember one day Mr. Lehman, our principal, telling us that we are a community and we are responsible not only for ourselves, but also for each other. Indeed, we have been responsible for each other, but not only that, we have been also caring. You know, when I was depressed and I tried to hide it, so I held the pen and I pressed it against the paper in a circular motion. I tried to hide it, but my teacher could see it. He did not see it because it was visible. He only saw it because he cared enough to notice that there was something wrong. He asked me if I was fine, and I said yes, but again, he cared enough to know that that was just a lie. When my mind and heart were heavy, there was always someone there who wouldn't mind if my tears were to wet his or her shoulder. There was always someone there for me, with no questions, no judgments, no criticism, because here at SLA, we learn how to stand by each other's sides. For my whole life, I was told that math was not for me. It is too difficult, too visual for a blind student to understand. But here at SLA, my math teacher said, math is hard. That does not mean you cannot do it. He had to do extra work every single day, but here at SLA, teachers do not mind doing extra work to provide their kids the education they deserve. My whole life I was told that my voice does not matter, but here at SLA, my English teacher spent a whole year convincing me to join poetry. He spent all that extra time, but again, here at SLA, teachers wouldn't mind spending extra time to give the kids the opportunities they deserve. And all of that extra work, all of that extra time does not go to waste, because we do get the great education we deserve. We do get the great opportunities we wouldn't have gotten anywhere else. I worked 2 years at the Franklin Institute. I experienced the professional world and learned how it really works. I participated on panels at the University of Pennsylvania, and the first panel was about education as a human right. And SLA was a model of that conversation. I also had the greatest chance to work with Amnesty International and a school project, and after that, I was able to join every single meeting held at the Ethical Society. I would never have had these opportunities anywhere else beside SLA. I would never have had these opportunities if SLA was located somewhere else besides here. You know, I came to SLA with my life full of contradictions, to cultures, to countries, to lives, to people, but both of those people were me, and I was not ready to give up on any of these identities. At some point, I thought that I would only have to be one, but here at SLA, I learned that duality is partially what makes up my personality. And I also learned that personality is not something we have, but something we earn constantly. And here at SLA, I learned to not be afraid to earn that personality.
Aiming for a good education, I left my country, my life, and half of my family. Aiming for a good education, my parents have sacrificed without an exchange. And aiming for a good education, my friend was disappeared in Turkey. And aiming for a good education, many other people drowned in the sea in their way to Spain or Italy. Trust me, I am not just talking about a global issue here. I lived with these people. I was once one of them. I know their passions. I know their desires. If there was a place like SLA everywhere else, I wouldn't have had to leave. If there was a place like SLA everywhere else, my parents wouldn't have had to give up everything they had. If there was a place like SLA everywhere else, my friend would still be here today. And if there was a place like SLA everywhere else, people wouldn't have had to drown and lives wouldn't have been lost in search of opportunity. You know, education is among the universal basic rights of humans, next to the right to life and the right to water. You know why? Because education is the key. And it is my responsibility today as a student, and the teacher's responsibility, and the principal's responsibility, and above all, your responsibility to make sure that school does not become the lock that prevents opportunity. Now, we have done our best. Now it is your turn. And I trust that you have good and fair judgment, because I know deep down inside of you, you know what is the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Tasha. We have to wrap it up at this point. Chris, are there any?
Yeah, I'd love, Nick, can you do it in a minute? I'd love you to hear Nick's story. It's very challenging. Everyone here came to speak, and what I would ask, we're not going to get to everybody. We would happily stay here all night. We have to respect, and I greatly respect that Commissioner Sims and Commissioner Green have been here, that Fran Burns has been here. I'm going to ask that Nick, that you hang in for one more speaker. Nick's got a very special story. There are literally, as you can imagine, hundreds of them. What I will ask that all of us do is take a few moments. src@philasd.org is the email address.
And wjgreen@philasd.org.
And there you go. So if you can hang in for one more speaker, I'd greatly appreciate it. And then thank you so much for spending this time. Nick, do you want to close us out? And if you can keep it, I know it's a great long story, but if you can make it short.
It's in a large font, so it looks large, but it's a bit condensed. I don't know if you can hear me, but before I discuss my time at SLA, I'd like to just take a quick portion of my time to explain my circumstances and where I was prior to transferring here. Before SLA, I never experienced great schooling. Living out each day as a boy on the autism spectrum made life difficult. Throughout middle school, I was alone, misunderstood, and not accepted. I was in an education system that had no respect for learning or different learning styles. My entire experience with school has revolved around the process of pushing students on to the next grade, not caring for their talents, individuality, or interests. Upon exiting middle school, I hoped high school had something new and intriguing in store for me. Instead, I went from the frying pan into the fire. I entered an amalgam of decrepit systems and drone work. I found myself completing more packets and busy work than actually being challenged in learning. I slowly lost hope, and in my second year, I considered dropping out of high school. For too long, I experienced failing school systems. I developed the thought that this was all schooling was. Thankfully, I was wrong. Upon the second half of my sophomore year, a miracle happened. I was allowed to transfer to SLA, where at first I was apprehensive and worried things would not change. I could not have been more wrong. I quickly molded into the SLA community, found my niche, found growth, and most importantly, found myself working, fitting in. I was happy. SLA is an extremely diverse school compiled of people from all backgrounds and walks of life. In this family, even a boy like me on the autism spectrum was able to progress forward and become something. Were it not for SLA, Were it not for SLA, I do not know where I would be today. But enough about me and what makes us, the SLA community so great. It's time to talk about location. At first glance, location seems to be of minimal importance, but it is a key to what makes this school what it is. Our current location is extremely accessible to people from all over the city, for I myself come from Northeast Philadelphia every day. It is in a nice, quaint building. However, accessibility does not apply to the students alone. It's great for the many interns from walking distance from colleges such as Drexel and UPenn. These interns and volunteers are vital to our community, and I simply cannot imagine how debate would have been for the teams and myself without our Penn mentors. These people not only gain from their time at SLA, but us as students as well profit. There's a mutual exchange of information and experience optimized here at Arch Street. Mentors and interns are not the only entity or group of entities that interact with our school. The Franklin Institute is within reasonable walking distance and is the go-to place for freshmen every Wednesday afternoon. The partnership with the Franklin opens many opportunities of learning, not only for the freshmen, but also the upper classes looking for new learning opportunities outside of the classroom. Earlier this year in anatomy, we used our valuable partners at TFI to go on a trip to see the neuroscience exhibit. We were able to utilize this exhibit for a tie into what we were learning in class. Community interaction such as this is vital to keeping students' minds open to new ideas. It can even help them develop their own concrete interests, and it can influence their later choices in life. If we were to be relocated, TFI becomes out of reach. It is already hard enough to lead droves of freshmen to TFI from here. I simply cannot fathom or even imagine leading that same group an even greater distance. Much of what makes us who we are is ingrained into the very building that we exist in. If you walk around and tour our building, you'll find artwork from previous graduating classes. And in Mr. Campbell's room, you'll find us remodeling the entire room into the engineering workspace that will be for the future students to come. In the past, when the clock struck 3, I was out and on my way home. Yet somehow at SLA, I found myself staying after school for a while. And I even see myself staying late at night for robotics. It takes something special for a school to have to go to the intercom and tell kids it's time to go home if they're not a part of a club or a sport. The school has to be desirable. It has to be more than just a school. It has to be a family. And to myself as well as many others, that's exactly what we have here at SLA. Family. It is this fertile land where we nourish and prosper. So please do not divide us and strip away our unique identities. Keep our family here at 22nd and Arch.
So I want to thank Commissioner Sims, Commissioner Green, Fran. Thank you so much for coming out and listening. I want to thank all of the families, all of our partners, all of our alumni, and all of our incredible students who are here tonight. And to the commissioners, this place is special. Only someone like Dr. Haidt could have gotten me to even take half a step away to do more work for the city, to bring this education, to bring what we do here to more schools. That is my dream and that is my passion. But to do that, we need a North Star. This is our North Star. And I ask you to take care of it. I put it in your hands. Thank you so much for coming out tonight and listening. We greatly appreciate it.